Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, we are jumping right in today because we're unpacking a truly fascinating concept, the ripple effect. Specifically, the ripple effect of just 10 rupees. Now, 10 rupees? That sounds incredibly small, right? Barely anything at all. But today, we're going to explore how a seemingly insignificant origin point, literally just a tiny piece of crumpled currency found on the ground, can set off a chain reaction that ends up saving a life. It's a stunning, real-world look at cause and effect, and I'm super excited to walk you through it.
So let me ask you right off the bat, what is the true value of an old, discarded 10 rupee note? I mean, if you think about it purely in terms of money, it's almost nothing, right? Maybe enough for a quick street snack if you're lucky. But here's the thing, true value isn't always measured in numbers. Today, we're breaking down a sequence of events from our source material that perfectly illustrates this incredible contrast between monetary worth and deep, profound emotional value.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1. The value of 10 rupees. A random discovery on the street. Picture this. There's a young boy just walking down a completely normal street on an entirely average day. He glances down at the pavement, and what does he see? An old, discarded 10 rupee note. It's just lying there, completely forgotten. When he picks it up, his very first, almost dismissive thought is, what can this even do? And honestly, if we were in his shoes, most of us would probably think the exact same thing. It's such a trivial amount of money, it almost feels useless to even bend down and grab it.
Which brings us to Section 2, a simple cup of tea, an unexpected connection.
So the boy looks up from this crumpled little bill in his hand, and he notices a tea shop right nearby. And sitting outside is an elderly man. This man looks incredibly sad, completely isolated, just entirely alone. And in a split second, the whole focus of our story shifts away from the money and onto this human being sitting on the margins of society. It's wild how quickly a passing thought can turn into a meaningful action, because the boy just makes a spontaneous decision. He walks right up to the stall, hands over that 10 rupee note, buys a warm cup of tea, and offers it to the isolated man with a deeply respectful, "Baba, please drink tea." That took what, maybe 30 seconds? But as we'll see, it changed the trajectory of multiple lives.
The old man took the warm tea, looked at the boy, and said, "Son, today no one had even spoken to me all day." Wow. Just pause for a second and really feel the profound isolation in those words. A whole entire day feeling completely invisible to the rest of the world. The real emotional weight of what the boy did wasn't about spending 10 rupees at all. It was the simple fact that he stopped, he noticed, and he cared enough to acknowledge another human being.
Moving on to Section 3, years later, the accident, the crisis, and the urgent need. After that brief encounter, the boy simply walks away. But we've got a massive time jump here. We go from day one, that simple cup of tea, jumping years and years later to a horrible accident and an immediate, desperate need for blood. The boy from the street has grown up. Life has naturally moved on. But suddenly the narrative takes an incredibly sharp, life-threatening turn. This perfectly shows how kindness can lay dormant. It bridges the massive gap between a quiet afternoon sharing tea and a frantic medical emergency way down the road. It shows us that our actions actually linger on the timeline, even when we completely forget about them.
So in this chaotic hospital scene, things are absolutely critical. A severe accident has occurred. He's rushed to the hospital, and there is an immediate requirement for blood to save his life. Time is completely running out. And then, a stranger steps up instantly. Without a second thought, without any hesitation whatsoever, this unknown savior at the hospital donates the exact blood needed to keep the young man alive.
And this brings us to the emotional climax of our explainer. Section 4, the return of kindness, the stranger's true identity. The young man slowly recovers from his severe injuries, and as he finally gets his strength back, his absolute first priority is to track down and thank this mysterious, selfless savior who literally gave him the gift of life. So they finally meet face to face. The young man is pouring out his profound gratitude, and the stranger just smiles warmly and says, "Didn't recognize me? I am the son of that same old man." I mean, chills, right? That one incredible sentence instantly connects this immense, life-saving blood donation all the way back to that quiet, seemingly insignificant afternoon at the tea shop.
Think about the stark contrast between these two moments. What the boy thought he gave was purely physical, just 10 rupees and a cup of tea. Really low-value items in the grand scheme of things. But what the stranger and his father actually received, that was deep human connection and respect.
The son explained that on that day, the boy didn't just give his isolated father tea, he gave him respect. And the massive emotional impact of that respect far, far outweighed the original 10 rupees.
So the absolute core of this story is the ripple effect, a situation where a single action has consequences that spread outward long into the future. That tiny 10-rupee act of kindness absolutely did not exist in a vacuum. It multiplied over time. It traveled from the old man directly to his son and ultimately circled all the way back as a life-saving consequence for the boy himself. And that leads us to the ultimate, universal truth drawn from our source material today. Even a small act of kindness never goes to waste. What you give to the world returns to you. It just so perfectly wraps up this incredible cause and effect narrative. It proves that goodness isn't a one-way street, you know? It's a living, breathing ecosystem where every positive input eventually finds its way back.
So to wrap up this explainer, I've got to ask you, what small act of kindness can you put into the world today? Remember, it doesn't require some grand cinematic gesture or a ton of money. Sometimes it's literally just a 10-rupee cup of tea and a tiny moment of your time to make someone else feel seen. So I enthusiastically challenge you today. Go out there and start your own lasting ripple effect. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.